Catherine, just still on the practical side of things, you wanted to share some thoughts on lifetime giving versus legacies.
Yes, and I think speaking today, this is this week there is a national campaign around leaving a gift in your will, remember a charity, and it's coming in the context of the financial crisis caused by the pandemic. And research from Charities Aid Foundation suggests that as many as 1 in 2 charities don't expect to be financially viable in a year's time. So clearly there is quite a crisis. And I'm not here to talk about the benefits or the pros of giving during your lifetime versus leaving a legacy, but more looking at some, I guess, of the practical differences between the two. But I think the one thing I would say about leaving a legacy is it can really make a difference. Some of the charities operating now are only surviving because of the legacies that they've happened to have received during the course of the pandemic. And if you look at well-known charities in particular, like RNLI, I think their statistics are about 60% of their funding comes from people leaving a legacy in their will, which they've saved about 142,000 lives since they were founded. And if you think 6 out of every 10 lifeboat launches are made possible because of legacies, hopefully that will focus people's minds a little bit on what we're going to say in the ensuing presentation. So in terms of the practical differences, there were 2 things I really thought were worth mentioning when you're looking at how, as your broader legacy that I was talking about in my introduction, how you're going to help make societal change if you are leaving a charitable legacy. And the first of those is during your lifetime, if you're giving to charity, often you can be quite reactive. Many people, myself included, give on an ad hoc basis. So if there's a particular campaign that moves me, I might donate to them. Or if I receive sponsorship requests from people making those sorts of donations. And really, I'm operating on quite a reactive basis. And even amongst my sort of wealthier clients who have maybe slightly more than me to give, often I've done an exercise of helping them look at the charitable giving that they've been doing, and it really has been very reactive. If you compare the sort of causes that they care deeply about, and then you compare those to where their money has actually been going, there's often quite a mismatch. You can't have that in the same way if you're looking at leaving a legacy, because you actually do have to be very deliberate and specify which charities you're going to support, which for some they may have causes that have been close to them during their lifetime and they may come to mind easily, particularly where they've had a life event and have had a close connection and wanted to give back to a particular charity or organisation. But for many, actually, that can be quite a stumbling block and a cause for real sort of pause and reflection. How on earth, out of all the amazing charities and the amazing and concerning causes, do they choose who to give to? And therefore, starting those discussions early and enabling people to think through which causes they do want to give to as part of their legacy can be a really important step for advisors to help clients begin and to get over. The second point I just wanted to make, and again this may be stating the obvious, but on the whole you don't know when you're going to die, and therefore when you're picking causes during your lifetime, particularly at the moment, again the pandemic's a great example, you can think about causes that are immediately desperately in need, where you can give and you can actually see and potentially follow the impact of the money that you're giving. The challenge when you're thinking about charities you want to give a legacy to is it could be potentially quite a long way into the future. So how do you decide, and how do you know which charities to benefit? And I guess the one plug I would put in there for community foundations, which I think is worth thinking about, is that actually this can help resolve at least some of those issues, because if you are working with a community foundation, that money can be applied. You can give a sort of a more broad direction, and then at the moment when you pass away and the funds are transferred, then they can be applied to charities who immediately need it at that point in time.
Thanks, Catherine. Yes, I would echo what you've just said there, because, well, only because I've had conversations with donors who've made provision in their will to leave a gift to the community foundation to set up a fund, and it's a double benefit, because they appreciate the fact that they can discuss in quite detail sometimes what they want to support through the fund after their death, but also it's comfort to them to know that if that's just not viable at the time when it comes to it, that they know that as a community foundation and our trustees, we would find something that is as close to their wishes as we can possibly get. So it's kind of a double comfort and a double benefit to them.